All right, welcome. Weekly debrief. It's gonna be a little longer, so prepare yourself. One thing I've noticed this week is that waiting has a cost, and I've said this before. Look, waiting has a cost in real estate, in business, and honestly, in life. This week I had conversations with sellers waiting for a higher price, buyers waiting for a lower interest rate, investors. I got a couple investment properties out there waiting for the perfect opportunity, and people waiting on the perfect time to pursue their goals they've been talking about for months or even years. Don't get me wrong, I'm looking to lose the same 15 pounds that I've been telling for 5 years, but the reality is there's always going to be a reason to wait. A seller waits because they think the market's going to improve. A buyer waits because they think the rates are going to come down. An investor waits because they're waiting for the better deal to come around the corner. Many of us, because we're hoping for circumstances become easier. The problem is that waiting has a cost. Sometimes it's measured in dollars. Sometimes it's measured in missed opportunities. Sometimes it's measured in time we'll never get back. That brings me to what the market told me today. I showed homes in multiple cities this week and had conversations with buyers, sellers, and investors, lenders as well. The common theme wasn't the interest rates. It wasn't inventory. It wasn't politics. It was pricing. Buyers are still buying. Homes are still selling. Investors are still investing, but people have become incredibly selective. Buyers are no longer willing to overpay simply because of what the inventory shows. There's so much inventory out there, so much. So your home selling better be ready. They're comparing homes way more carefully. They're negotiating harder. They're paying attention to the condition, the updates, and the overall value of the home. Now, don't get me wrong, the market's still moving, but it's rewarding realistic expectations. And that leads me to the 3 conversations that basically stood out this week. The first was with a seller struggling with pricing expectations. Like many sellers, we're looking at what they hope their home was worth instead of what the market was telling them. That word worth, what is something worth? It's worth what someone's willing to pay for it. But the second was with a first-time home buyer who was nervous about making a commitment. Not because they weren't qualified, not because they weren't ready, they were just simply afraid of making the wrong decision. And the third conversation I had with an investor evaluating cash flow, long-term returns. It's all conversations. Different person, different goals, different situation. But all 3 were facing the exact same challenge. Making decisions with an imperfect information. And that's really what life is. Whether you're buying a house, selling a house, starting a business, changing careers, investing money, or pursuing a personal goal, you rarely, let's be real, you rarely get all the information you want before making the decision. At some point, you have to evaluate the facts, trust the process, and move forward. The people who make progress aren't always the smartest. They're not always the most talented. They're often the people willing to act before everything feels perfect. So there's one lesson I took away from this week, and it's don't let perfect become the enemy of progress, because waiting has a cost. The market taught me that. The clients taught me that. And honestly, life teaches us that every day. Take this message. Thanks for joining me. And let's see what happens next week. See y'all next week.